Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. In this video, we're going to be seeing which swing states or battleground states RFK Jr., the independent or third-party candidate, can help Joe Biden win in, or can he do the opposite and help which states he can help Donald Trump perform better in. But before we start the video, I discussed channel memberships. We do have channel memberships. Scroll down. The link is in the description. It's also in the comment section below this video. So if you want to join and purchase custom perks, we have custom emojis. Scroll down, click the link, it is in the description, and also the join button is on my channel page. Now that we have channel memberships out the way, let's begin with the actual video. So regarding with the 2024 presidential election, we now obviously know that RFK Jr., the independent or third-party candidate, whatever you want to call him as, is running for president. He previously ran in the Democratic primary, which Biden was expected to defeat him. So instead, what he did was drop out of the Democratic primary and run as an independent or third-party candidate. Basically, a Green Party is what you would call them. So in this video, we're only focusing on the swing states. We're not focusing about the, safe red states, safe blue states. No. We're focusing on the battleground states, the swing states that can determine the actual outcome of the 2024 election to make this video a whole lot shorter. So, the states I will fill in red will be states that RFK Jr. can help Trump win in, and the states I'm going to fill in blue will be the states RFK Jr. can help Biden win in. And so let's begin with this video. The first state I think RFK Jr. can help Donald Trump actually perform better, and not necessarily win, but actually perform better in, is I think the state of Nevada. I think RFK Jr. actually, him being a factor or not RFK Jr. alone himself, obviously just independents in general. There's more independent candidates in the 2024 election than there was back in the 2020 election. So with that being said, I think the more independence there is in the 2024 election or in this race, I think the more it helps Donald Trump. The less independent candidates there is, or third-party candidates, I think actually helps Joe Biden in. So with that being said, now that we have more third-party candidates and independent candidates than we did back in 2020, it actually gives Donald Trump an advantage. And I think with that being said, I think RFK Jr. being a factor in this race actually takes more support away from Biden than it does to Donald Trump in the state of Nevada. Now, that's Nevada specifically. I'm not speaking, nationwide. I'm speaking only Nevada. Now, another state. Now, as for Biden, I think one state that RFK Jr. can help Joe Biden in, not necessarily win, but, maybe get him a closer margin or make it a little bit more competitive, or he can improve in, but not necessarily win, is, I think, Texas. I think RFK Jr. being a factor in this race as, a third-party candidate actually helps Joe Biden have a better shot at flipping a state like Texas. So, not necessarily, does not mean he's going to win Texas. I don't think we expect Joe Biden to win Texas, even if RFK Jr. is still in the race or not. It doesn't matter. Trump should win it. But I think it gives, it would make the margins a little bit closer. I think RFK Jr., as we all know, he is anti-vax. He's anti-vax. With a lot of that rhetoric, I think he can help Biden perform better in a state like Texas. I think RFK Jr. can take away votes from Donald Trump in the state of Texas, making it a little bit closer for Joe Biden to be a little bit more competitive. But other than that, I don't see Biden actually winning the state. But I do think RFK Jr., being a factor, I think can impact the state of Texas in favor of Joe Biden rather than in favor of Donald Trump. So now that we have one state for Biden and one state for Donald Trump that RFK Jr. can help them in, another state for Donald Trump that RFK Jr. can help Trump in is, I think, the state of Arizona. Take a look back at the 2020 election. The main reason why Joe Biden flipped the state of Arizona from red to blue was because there wasn't that many third-party candidates. In fact, I don't think there was none. I think maybe just one. But with that being said, I think, like I mentioned earlier, the more third-party candidates there is in an election, the better it is for Donald Trump. The less third-party candidates there is, the more it favors Joe Biden. This is different from the 2020 election. I know it may seem the exact same, it may seem similar, but guess what? There's two factors that we had in 2020 that we're not going to be seeing in 2024. So there is a little bit difference. One being, there's no COVID. At this point, there's no COVID. So that's already one difference from 2020 compared to 2024. There's no COVID. And the second difference is that we have more third-party candidates in 2024 than we did in 2020. So there's actually quite a few differences. I just named two right now. So with that being said, I think it actually helps Trump The fact being that there's more third-party candidates, it actually benefits Trump. So when it comes to Arizona, the state of Arizona specifically, I think the more third-party candidates there is, the more choices there is for American voters to vote, I think the better it is for Donald Trump. Because you have these two candidates that Americans don't like whatsoever. Majority of Americans, there's polls showing majority of Americans do not want a Biden and Trump rematch. They don't want that. So what that does is having candidates like RFK Jr., having candidates like Cornel West, potentially, I'm not saying it is, but potentially, it's not confirmed yet, but potentially a Joe Manchin could just hurt Biden because he's so disapproved of. And if Democrats can run on the notion of a vote for RFK Jr. is basically a vote for Donald Trump, maybe Democrats can do better. But, that's how I see the state of Arizona being. I think a lot of the neocon Republicans call them neocon. The neocons of Arizona voted for Biden in 2020, and that's the main reason why it helped Joe Biden win the state. But if the neocons of Arizona can actually end up voting for RFK Jr. instead of Biden, then I think it gives Donald Trump a legitimate shot at flipping and winning back the state of Arizona. So that's where I'm at with Arizona. And another state that helps Biden, in my opinion, in the 2024 election, that RFK Jr. or any third-party candidate or any independent candidate being in this race as a factor, I think is the state of Florida. I think RFK Jr. can help Joe Biden improve in the state of Florida. I think he will take more away. I think RFK Jr. will take more votes away from Donald Trump in the state of Florida, making Joe Biden, a little bit more competitive. Because as we all know, RFK Jr. is heavily anti-vaxxed, and we all know Florida is this red state. So instead of voting for Trump, I think a few thousand Floridians that voted for Trump in 2020 would switch over to RFK Jr. And I think RFK Jr. can maybe help Biden by stealing and taking away the Trump votes in Florida. And honestly, RFK Jr. I think is running as a disguise to help Joe Biden. That's how I see it. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on the comment section down below. Because RFK Jr., obviously, he's he ran the Democratic primary, and now is an independent. I think he just might end up help Biden in some states, but he also will end up helping Trump. But when it comes to Florida specifically, we're talking about Florida now, I think he's just going to steal votes from Trump rather than Biden. I think the people voting for Biden in Florida will already have voted for him in 2020, and I don't think they're going to change their mind. So with that being said, I think the people that voted for Trump in 2020 in the state of Florida actually would switch over to RFK Jr., making Biden actually perform better, but I don't know if he's still going to win it. And then another state that RFK Jr. gives Trump a better shot at winning is New Mexico. Now, he's not going to win New Mexico, but I still think RFK Jr. being a factor will probably take away more votes from Biden than it would to Donald Trump in the state of New Mexico, because as we all know, New Mexico is going to vote for Biden regardless. They're going to vote for Biden either way. But if RFK Jr. can take away the support from Biden, it can be closer, it can be more competitive, the margins will wind down, and they will decrease for Biden, making Trump get it closer. That's where I'm at with New Mexico. And then another state I think RFK Jr. actually helps Joe Biden is Georgia. I think RFK Jr. being a factor in the 2024 election actually gives Joe Biden a better shot at retaining the state of Georgia, just like how he did in 2020. Is actually, even though he is anti-vax, he's still very liberal on a lot of issues, a couple issues. For example, gun control. I believe he still supports gun control. That's number one. Number two, he is pro-abortion. So yes, even though RFK Jr. still appeals to a lot of Republicans, he still is very liberal on a couple issues. I just named two. So I think that can help Biden in a way, and it will make him do good in Georgia, because Joe Biden winning Georgia back in 2020, considering that fact, I think it might just even help Biden do better in Georgia when it comes to RFK Jr. being in this race. And now if RFK Jr. was never in this race, I think Trump had a better shot at winning Georgia. But because RFK Jr. is in this race, I think it's just going to take away more support from Donald Trump, really. So I think RFK Jr. will actually be a little bit sneaky and help Biden in the state of Georgia. And then another state I think RFK Jr. will actually help Donald Trump in is probably the state of New Hampshire. Because, as we all know, New Hampshire heavily supported Biden in 2020. So if RFK Jr. can pull away some of the support that went to Biden in the state of New Hampshire back in 2020, can switch over to RFK Jr., it will not it won't hurt Trump at all. Trump has nothing to lose when it comes to a state like New Hampshire, because when you have RFK Jr., it's already New Hampshire's already blue state, as we all know. It's still a swing state, but it's still a blue state. So RFK Jr. is not going to hurt Trump at all. There's nothing to lose, is what I'm saying. So it's not. It's only going to take away support from Biden, and it's going to help Trump be a little bit more competitive. But I still don't think Trump's going to win it. So yeah, RFK Jr. being a factor in this race, I think helps Donald Trump when it comes specifically to the state of New Hampshire. And another state I think RFK Jr. can help Joe Biden in is probably the state of North Carolina. I think RFK Jr. being a factor in this race, I think will probably help Joe Biden in the state of North Carolina, because it was close in 2020. Trump only won it by a little bit over a percentage point, I believe 1.5%. So if RFK Jr. can maybe, steal a little votes from Trump, take them away, because I think when it comes to North Carolina or any of these states I just filled in blue, I think basically if Republicans vote for RFK Jr., they're basically voting for Joe Biden. That's how I see it. And it goes for both ways. If you're a Democrat, a vote for RFK Jr. is a vote for Donald Trump. And then if you're a Republican, a vote for RFK Jr. is a vote for Joe Biden. I think we can all agree that. Let me know if you agree with that take. Let me know in the comment section down below. And also, there has been a lot of controversy whether RFK Jr. will help Trump more than he would to Biden. I think he helps both equally. I don't think RFK Jr. helps Trump more than he does to Biden. I don't think RFK Jr. helps Biden more than he does to Trump. I think it's equal. You have these Republicans saying, "Oh, RFK Jr. is gonna take away votes for Biden and help Trump win." Well, they're right. You have these Democrats saying RFK Jr. is gonna help take away votes from Trump and make Biden win. Well, they're right as well. I think both of them are right, because he's just gonna take away equally both, and it's gonna be very interesting to see the outcome of the election. So that's where I'm at on the state of North Carolina. And then another state RFK Jr. can help Trump in, I think, is probably Wisconsin. Wisconsin is a state that voted for Biden in 2020 by 0.6%, nearly 20,000 votes. And RFK Jr. being a factor in this race, I think, can only help Trump. I don't think it's going to hurt him at all when it comes to Wisconsin. If RFK Jr. can take the support from Biden in Wisconsin that he got in 2020, I think it only lowers the margin and it gives Trump a better shot at winning Wisconsin. Another state I think RFK Jr. can actually help Joe Biden in is probably the state of Michigan. As we all know, Gretchen Whitmer, back in the 2022 midterms, ran on the issue of Republicans are extreme when it comes to vaccines. They are extremely anti-vax, and guess what? It actually benefited Gretchen Whitmer, and she won even more than she did last time. So with that being said, I think Michiganders actually don't like anti-vax candidates. And RFK Jr. being one, I think, honestly, will only steal votes from Trump and causing Biden to actually improve his margin in Michigan. So I think RFK Jr. being a factor actually helps Biden than it does to Trump, talking the state of Michigan. And then another state I think RFK Jr. actually helps Donald Trump in is the state of Virginia. Virginia was won by Biden in 2020 by double digits. So RFK Jr. can't hurt Trump, right? He can't hurt him if Biden already won it by double digits. There's nothing to lose there. So maybe RFK Jr. can take away some of the support that went to Biden and the state of Virginia back in 2020, and then it will make the margin a little bit closer for Donald Trump. So I think RFK Jr. helps Trump in Virginia. And then two states I think RFK Jr. actually help Biden in is Ohio and Iowa. Honestly, there's nothing to lose for Joe Biden in those states. Iowa and Ohio are already lost cause for Democrats. It's basically likely to save Republican states. You can argue it's safe, but I think they're likely as of right now. It doesn't matter. It's still pretty comfortable for the Republican Party for Iowa or Ohio. But I think RFK Jr. being a factor actually would probably take away more votes from Trump in states like Ohio, and it'll make Biden be a little bit more competitive. And same goes for Iowa. I think the only people that would vote for RFK Jr. in the state of Iowa or Ohio, both of those states, will probably just be Trump supporters or Republicans. I don't think any Democrat in Iowa or Ohio would pretty much leave Biden for RFK Jr. So I think those two states Biden can benefit RFK Jr. from. And then another state I think RFK Jr. helps Trump in is the state of Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania barely went to Biden in 2020 by 1.2%. So if RFK Jr. can peel away some of the support from Biden, it will make the margin a little bit closer, and it gives Trump a legitimate shot to flip the state of Pennsylvania. And I think RFK Jr., I think states like Pennsylvania, he can spoil the race. He really can. I think he will be a major factor in 2024. And a lot of people are underestimating RFK Jr. A lot of people think he might get under 10%, but I disagree with that. I think he's being underestimated, and I think he's underrated as a candidate in general. He has the Kennedy name recognition, and if he has that Kennedy name recognition, I think he can do good, in my opinion. And I think he might crack 15%. And if he's lucky enough, maybe 20. But to be safe, I would say RFK Jr. will probably receive 15% of the overall vote in the 2024 election. Let me know if you agree with that. Take it in the comment section down below. And then another state I think RFK Jr. helps Trump in is the state of New York. I think there's nothing to lose for Donald Trump in New York. RFK Jr. only helps Donald Trump, actually. It's going to do, if RFK Jr. in this race, I think it actually hurts Biden in a state like New York. And we're already seeing polls that don't even have RFK Jr. in the race, where Biden's only leading by 8%, 7%, 9%, 10% in a state like New York. You would think that New York would be a plus 20% state for Biden. Well, it was back in 2020, but we're now seeing polls where it's under 10%. It's single-digit margins, and imagine RFK Jr. was in that poll. It would actually help Donald Trump. So I think RFK Jr. will probably, you have these probably Democrats in New York that don't like a candidate like Biden, but they also hate Trump more, so they will probably vote for Biden. But if you add RFK Jr. into the race, those Democrats would probably switch over to RFK Jr. and help Trump in a state like New York. And then we are down to one last final state, and that is the state of Maine's 2nd Congressional District. And I don't know, this is a hot take, but I feel like RFK Jr. has a decent shot at winning Maine's 2nd Congressional District. I'm not saying he will win it, but Maine's 2nd Congressional District was a Trump district in 2020 and also was a Trump district in 2016. So Maine's 2nd Congressional District usually votes for Donald Trump, and they usually vote red. But honestly, as we all know, Maine is a state that always votes independent. Their candidates when it comes to the Senate, the governor's race, are always independent candidates that tend to win. So I think RFK Jr. being an independent himself, probably gives him a better shot at winning a state like Maine. He's not going to win Maine as a whole, maybe the 2nd Congressional District, because it is going to be the closest district out of all the districts in Maine. So maybe RFK Jr. has a shot at Maine's 2nd Congressional District. But if I had to choose one state or district that RFK Jr. can probably win, I think the one district he probably would win is probably Maine's 2nd Congressional District. Other than that, I don't think RFK Jr. will win any state. So that's where I'm at with this map. This is my prediction for which states RFK Jr. will help Trump in, which states RFK Jr. will help Biden in the 2024 election. These states I filled in blue, RFK Jr. helps Biden in. These states I filled in red are the states RFK Jr. helps Trump in. So let me know which states you agree with, what states you disagree with. And do you think RFK Jr. will win any state? How many states do you think he will win? Because I know a lot of people think he won't win any state, which I kind of agree with that. But let me know your takes in the comment section down below. And don't forget to subscribe as we are approaching 800 subscribers. And let me know your thoughts on this finalized map. And last but not least, before we end this video, I do want to give you guys a second reminder. Channel memberships, the link is in the description. Click the join button on my channel page and purchase perks. We have custom emojis. So definitely check that out.